Thanks. Our next reader, Roger Breisch, is director of the Batavia Chamber of Commerce, which he says is for both the life of your business and the business of your life. I feel like I just did a commercial for the chamber, did I? I did, didn't I? He has spent thousands of hours on the hotline at the Suicide Prevention Services and is on the adult staff for Operation Snowball. 15 years ago, he began the annual 4th of July American Dialogue about our hopes, fears, and dreams for the community, nation, and the world. He is an avid reader, and would like to be considered a lifelong learner. You can read his blog, and it's called Oops, There Goes My Worldview, at rebreisch.net, or find refuge and hope in the healing conversation at thedream.us. Roger Breisch, please.
Kevin, I took the opportunity to calculate my number. Yeah, used up more than half of it in that bio, so I have to read the rest of this really fast. The musical group Rascal Flatts a number of years ago did a song called "I'm Moving On," and in it is a line that goes, "Finally I see, life has been patiently waiting for me." And in November of 2011, these words assembled themselves. The song "I'm Moving On" had simultaneously, let me start again. The song "I'm Moving On" and I had simultaneously visited the same space many times, but being in the same place with an idea or a person does not mean you are friends, or even acknowledge one another's presence. But one morning, it certainly doesn't mean that you're in love. Well, one morning I began a love affair with the words, "Life has been patiently waiting for me." I have learned to listen carefully when words touch my heart, and these in that moment certainly did. The more I reflect on them, the more hopeful, valued, and beautifully incomplete I feel. The hope comes from the sense that even as I bid adieu to middle age and approach elderhood, life was still willing to wait for me. I am not too late. I feel valued because I am important enough to be waited for, and I'm not being waited for by something insignificant. Life itself is waiting. Finally, I feel beautifully incomplete. Yes, beautifully incomplete. To be complete would imply there's nothing left to my life, nothing left to learn, no one left for me to touch or to be touched by. Incomplete never felt so wonderful or so confusing and frightening. Questions emerge. Who is the me that life is waiting patiently for? If I am incomplete, are there parts nearing completion? Are there parts I have yet to even begin to know? If I, quote, know, unquote, many things about who I am, can I be certain which are real and which are imposters? How, over the course of my lifetime, have I learned to tell the real from the false? The identities that are me versus those my ego inappropriately apprehended many years ago and is unwilling to release. There seem endless questions, but one in particular captures me. The me life is waiting for, is it someone I have within my power to create? As a sculptor fashioning form out of amorphous clay? Or is life waiting for me to reveal and live into the person I was always meant to be, as a landscape is revealed when curtains are gently parted? These suddenly seem two very different views of what it means to grow as a human, to sculpt a person I envision, or to gently reveal the person envisioned from beyond. I wonder whether a common understanding of human life, perhaps the pervasive Western view, is wrong or at least imperfect. I was raised to believe that humans are born tabula rasa. We arrive as a clean slate on which our story is written and we are the primary authors. Born as nothing more than potential, we are presented with an untold number of years. Well, Kevin knows how many those are. We are presented with an untold number of years on this earth during which to create ourselves. You can be whatever you want to be, I was told, in so many ways and by so many people. The evidence they use to prove that life works this way can be compelling. Look at the legions of role models whose lives seem to verify that worldview. Politicians, entrepreneurs, religious leaders, and community organizers who made something of themselves. The storyline is that through their efforts, they made themselves into something they would not have been if they had not carefully sculpted it from an amorphous presence. I'm no longer convinced that that is life's most compelling story. What might be a different story of life? A story of emergence more than one of creation. I wonder about if life is about growing into who we are meant to be rather than creating who we wish to be. I wonder if life is about allowing the core of who we are to emerge. Taking a metaphor from nature, an oak tree emerges. It does not create itself. A rose blossoms. It doesn't endeavor to be something other than what it was always destined to become. The image I have in mind is that Roger Breisch has, and has had since conception, or earlier, unique strengths, characteristics, personality traits, gifts, as well as deficits and weaknesses. The perfect descriptors escape me. Regardless, what's important is that the quality of my impact on the world is in direct relation to the extent to which I show up through those gifts and weaknesses, naked and absolutely authentic. To the extent I insist on showing up without them, to the extent I try to co-create the world with those around me as someone I truly am not, I am lost, ineffective, and superficial. There's perhaps a different way of envisioning the metaphor of the sculptor, different from the one who creates. I have heard it said that Michelangelo was asked how he could find the magnificent image of David within a shapeless block of stone. As I recall, he said the task was easy. He simply chipped away the parts that did not look like David. That's an image of discovery, not one of creation. Perhaps that is a more powerful way of envisioning our lives, as a process of chipping away the parts of the stone that no longer look or feel like us. That is a lifelong, difficult task. I only hope that life has that much patience. Thank you.